And this panel brings together industry experts from Druid, the Futurum Group, and Rakuten Symphony, that to discuss how network modernization is unlocking new opportunities for private enterprises, that enhancing operational efficiencies and driving innovation, that with microservices-based deployments. And gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for being here. I know we're all on a maybe somewhat of an empty tank on later in the day on the third day here at the event. Yeah. So we appreciate your time and being here.
Bearing up, great to be here.
Great to have you. Ron Westfall with Futurum Group. I want to start with you on, of course, the title of this session, Network Modernization for 5G. A lot happening with the advancement of telecom networks. Certainly AI playing a big factor in that. Even an event, the one we're at now, you're seeing AI really permeating every sector of the telecommunications industry and beyond. So what do you think an event like this would look like, let's say a couple years from now?
Yeah, great question, Abe, and I think it's a great way to start. That is, AI is essential to network modernization, certainly for the operators, but also for the customers that they're selling to, naturally on the enterprise side. And the reasons are, I think, becoming better understood. That is, the AI is essential for automation as one factor. And so I would say 2 years from now, when we're having these conversations, it will be more clear that automation is being driven by the decision making at the top of the organization. That is, we need to have an end-to-end approach to how we do network modernization, and that means moving away from the silos that still exist out there and the fragmentation of implementation and strategy. So AI not only is instrumental in terms of what's happening on the network side, but also GPT capabilities, I think, are going to be critical to improving the workforce experience, to improving productivity. And I think we'll definitely see gains in terms of improved business outcomes because of the role that AI is playing in the overall modernization process, and that will be different from 2 years from now.
Faisal, can we already talk about some lessons learned or best practices when integrating automation into these networks? Are we far along enough to be having that conversation?
Yeah, no, I think we are not far from there, because we have started seeing a lot of CSPs are transforming towards the proper automation as part of their digital transformation, and the first step of that is basically breaking the silos. That's the first step. It takes really a good strategy, and it's a journey, especially for the brownfields, to do that, because they don't have the luxury to start from scratch. They have everything there. There is, of course, finance model involved, that you cannot just forklift everything you have and put a new system in place. Those systems exist, but again, it has to be done gradually, and they have to start with the end in mind. And if they do like this, then every change they do in the organization will go into that direction, basically. So you need to adopt this open architecture, the cloud native architecture, which allows you to do the API calling between the different systems, and then you will have all the data in one place. And if you have all the data in one place, then you are unlocking a new level of control and automation. And that level is what is going to achieve the purpose, really. Otherwise, we see some shy movements here and there to achieve, let's say, a micro level automation and AI, and that will remain discounted value for the operations, because they're trying to do this with all the legacy solutions in a place, and that's what we are trying to help the operations to do, work with them hand in hand to achieve that. We've seen a lot of good examples out there in the market, and the pioneers are doing it, then the second tier operations will follow, and so on. That's natural. Yeah.
And Rory, how are you seeing enterprises really leverage the network and sort of that progress there as we enter the AI and 5G and 6G space?
Yeah, I suppose it's been a bit slower at the enterprise side when it comes to AI being implemented. Most of the AI that we see is really from the application point of view. So AI at the edge, we'll see video and AI becoming very dominant, and the MNOs are putting distributed UPFs at the edge as an example to try and stop all the traffic being sent into the core. They'll keep as much out at the edge as they can. For things like carbon footprint as well, it'll keep the carbon footprint down. From an enterprise point of view, the AI hasn't happened so much in terms of the network optimization, but we do see orchestration happening there now at the moment, where we're seeing like utility might need 1,000 cores as an example. That cannot be managed as an individual core, being managed separately. You have to have an orchestration layer on top, and we have a thing called a distributed network manager that sits and manages all of these cores. So you can have multiple tenants of clients, and then beneath that multiple cores, and everything is managed from a central orchestrator. So you can actually set up the cores extremely quickly. You can, if you have one core set up and you want to copy the configuration of the core, you can do that really easily. In about 5 minutes, you can set up a second core. So that's really changing the game in the terms of the speed at which new cores can be set up, and that'll feed back, I think, into the macro space, the MNO space, the public networks. So we're kind of innovating at the edge for the private networks, but bringing it back towards the public network space. So we're kind of addressing the MVNO space first with this type of architecture, and then we'll bring it back into a wider macro and MNO space.
Ron, we talked a couple years ago, and then since then, about microservices making networks more agile. Since then, what's the progress there, and can you give us an example, maybe, where that progress lies?
Sure. I think we've seen some good conversations at the event. I would say Deutsche Telekom is an example of an operator that has been able to take microservices and quite simply improve the customer experience as a result. And I think that's something that's also aligning with fulfilling the energy efficiency objectives that all the operators are looking to fulfill. And that aligns naturally with meeting also governmental requirements or guidelines. And that's especially important in the EU, but it's really across the board that microservices can quite simply enable operators to become more efficient in terms of their overall operations, but also in terms of meeting, for example, their energy efficiency requirements by, quite simply implementing what can be characterized as a division of labor in terms of how they deliver their offerings to the customers. So that's what I'm seeing.
Faisal, I want to get a little more granular into the impact of AI on the network. Can you talk about how it's improving the optimization of the network, maybe automation and predictive maintenance as well?
Yeah, so in the network, AI has already achieved a lot when it comes to managing the radio. And in one of my discussions earlier, I mentioned that every $1 spent on the network, 80 cents of that goes to the radio, basically. And that's the importance of radio. If you get that part right in the network, then basically you have achieved a lot already. And the introduction of the RIC, the Radio Intelligence Controller, has been revolutionary for this area, because in the past we have been always dealing with a proprietary network. Recently we have the Open RAN, and thanks to this open interfaces, which has invited the telco community to come and innovate. Now if you walk through the corridors here, you will find a lot of small startups speaking about our apps. And our apps actually AI-powered applications, which basically achieves a lot of great things in the RAN network, which was never possible before, unless the vendor is willing to develop that. And the vendors are driven by certain strategies that might not be interested to do everything for you. So now we see those coming with the energy-saving applications, with the traffic steering application, cell shaping, electrical tilting, and all is that done completely through the artificial intelligence in a closed loop way. AI is moving from being just an assistance where a human is part of the process to become a completely automated decision-making AI. And that's a big shift from the early days of introducing AI into the networks to today, where the network is going to work by itself, and we have just very few and a small team, let's say, looking after the process and improving and optimizing it, while everything is run by the machine.
Yeah. Rory, and we can go down the line here. Where's your confidence level, let's say, in a couple of years, as far as enterprises leveraging the network better? And maybe more of a consultative approach between the telcos and their enterprise customers?
Yeah, we see more of a blurring of the lines over the years between telcos and enterprises. We're seeing some enterprise because of 5G and the fact that you can have a slice dedicated for an enterprise. It will become quite normal for enterprises to be on an actual dedicated slice, but you'll also see enterprises having their own dedicated cores as well. So they'll have roaming agreements then with a friendly MNO. They'll be hand in glove together then doing those sort of things. So all of the devices that are on the enterprise will be on a kind of a private network or a pseudo public private network. They can then roam globally. They can move outside. So you see governments doing this now, and NGOs are doing it. They're all dedicated cores, but a lot of this is being done today in 4G technology, but 5G is coming rapidly now. We could see probably 2025 is really the year for 5G at the edge. Enterprises really taking on 5G with public radio and a private network, that kind of pseudo situation going on. So there is a blurring of the lines between what's actually happening at the private side and what's happening at the MNO side.
Ron, certainly telcos are looking to widen their customer base by adding new enterprise customers, by leveraging AI into the network. Where do you see that? What's your prospect for that actually happening over the next couple of years?
Yeah, excellent question. And thankfully, I've had conversations with operators such as Indosat, SoftBank, and again, Deutsche Telekom, T-Mobile. And it's a strategic imperative, quite simply winning more enterprise space, winning more B2B business. And I think some of the fundamentals range from, being able to use chatbots that address customer inquiries and thus improve the efficiency of how issues can be resolved using AI capabilities. And I also think it's driving productivity gains across the workforce and improving the workforce experience. For example, field techs, just being able to troubleshoot out in the field in a more direct and less time-consuming manner is making a difference. And in the back office, again, it's about having operations that are just that, automated, able to quite simply shorten the time demands for service fulfillment, for service assurance, and all these other capabilities. And so that, I think, is what is different. Why is it different this time? It's because AI can definitely, I believe, make a difference in how the operators can more effectively sell into the enterprise space, win more mind share, and as a result, market share.
Faisal, somewhat of the same question. Rakuten Symphony has been very successful in aggregating telcos really globally and supporting them in many sectors. What about the enterprise space? Where's the challenge there?
So the enterprise, I think, as has been said already, that there is a different, let's say, life cycle in terms of adopting the technology. We have to say that we see that telco is always ahead of the other industries in adopting the, let's say, automation and AI. Some telcos are now pulling the enterprises actually because they basically provide a lot of that services which is related to the AI or enablement of the AI in terms of connectivity and so on. So I see that the telco is going to play a vital role in bringing those along. And if you see today many industries like the safety, the basically verticals like basically oil and gas has started adopting a lot of these things to in the way how they are operating, and we as Rakuten is engaged in those verticals. We actually playing in these verticals ourselves as part of the group, and we usually let's say provide the vertical specific knowledge along with that, because this vanilla technology might not be suitable for all of them at the beginning. So it takes us a little bit of taking one further step towards those verticals to bring them along and educate them, because their core business might be run still in the legacy way, and there is a comfort zone with that. And that is basically the economical, let's say, drive from our side is to help these guys to come along, so we can also monetize and grow together. Yeah.
So the title of this session is Network Modernization for 5G, but we're hearing a lot that maybe chasing the next G is not the solution. There's certainly a lot of other approaches, AI, Open RAN, XApps, RApps, a lot of other areas that we can focus on rather than just chasing the next G, which is a good thing. So maybe we'll have a different title this time next year.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose if you look at the roaming scenario, we're not seeing so much roaming because, yet on 5G SA because there aren't enough SA 5G networks out there. But we really do see a shift now that the build out of 5G SA networks is really, really coming. Governments are kind of pushing this as well in the background, like the US government, for instance, are pushing 5G SA networks to military sites and things like that. And that'll all then link up eventually and come back to the MNO play. You know, you'll have huge coverage, and eventually you'll see nationwide coverage then for 5G SA networks driven through different channels such as government, defence, etc. And so I do think that we're going to see a real proliferation of 5G SA networks like globally.
Interesting.
I agree. I think we're still at the front end of the 5G journey. And one reality is that the silicon isn't even being built for a 6G scenario yet. And so that pushes it past 2030. What we really need to do is focus on how 5G is making a difference today and in the near future. And I think things like Release 18 and 5G Advanced are going to bring in capabilities. First of all, it's the first release that has AI built into the radio technology and other mobile capabilities. Plus, it's going to deliver things such as enhanced massive MIMO and better precision location capabilities that will give it uplift to the vertical use cases that Faisal pointed out to. It can be transportation, logistics. All this is going to help the operators quite simply fulfill the evolving needs of the enterprise and business customers more directly and more effectively.
Any last words, Faisal?
Yeah, last words. I think that first release of the 5G has improved, let's say, the throughput and the latency. But now with the slice management specifically, I think we're gonna bring a step change in the way how we do things, and that will unlock a new complete level of use cases with a guaranteed bit rate and all the things which the slice can offer. So now this is happening. And I think that will provide more comfort zone for mission critical kind of industry to be onboarded on the network and put their applications in a more automated way compared to the way how it was done in the past. So we're looking forward for it.
Rory with Druid, we appreciate your time.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much.
It's good talking to your team as well, and appreciate them making this happen. Ron Westfall with Futurum Group, good to have you as always.
Great to be here. Thanks again, Abe.
We appreciate it. And Faisal, good to meet you, by the way.
Thank you.
Good to have you. We'll see you next time next year, probably.
Looking forward to it.
All right.
Yeah, soon.
Thumbs up.
Yeah.